Hey everyone, so we just learned how to use a slab roller, and now I want to talk to you about how to cut out your shapes for your slab construction. So I'm going to share my screen with you on the other dock camera, and here we go. So we just did, and I also want to talk to you about storage. Okay, so I have my first piece. For those of you who are at home, I have for you the popsicle sticks. And what I did is I lined 3 of them up and taped them together. I'll talk to you about the rolling pin in another short demo. But right now I can use my skewer. I could use an X-Acto knife. I could use any knife. And I need to cut these. So I'm going to put my vinyl square down. And I'm just going to carefully cut through. Okay. Keep your scraps, guys. Your scraps are going to be essential. You will need them to have enough clay to finish. And I want to also show you definitely how to store everything. Okay, so I just cut my 1 square. I want to make sure that I went all the way through. If you didn't, make sure you take the time to go all the way through and you'll be able to smooth your sides. So this is going to be for my very first, that'll be my first layer. That's the 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, this is the thickness. Please note that if, again, you're at home, you'll see that the thickness of this is the same, so it would lay flush, and that way you will, and I'll show you how to use that with the rolling pin. Okay, so there's my 1. I'm gonna set that to the side. If I have enough clay to cut out my next one, I'm a little short, guys, so I'm gonna need to redo this one. Don't cut it short, okay? So you're better off re-rolling if that's the case. You need to keep this clay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna squish it together, and you are gonna store this in a wet paper towel. Okay, so I'm gonna grab one right now. I have a paper towel. I just grabbed a container of water. You can put yours under the sink. So I just totally saturated it. I'm going to squeeze out the excess water so that way my clay stays moist and wet, but not too wet. Okay, so then I'm gonna take the excess, wrap it. It's gonna have to go in a Ziploc bag or some sort of plastic bag, because if it does not, it's going to dry out, okay? This I'm gonna save for a moment. These will dry out very, very quickly. So while I'm waiting and I'm doing my other cuts, you can use a few Ziploc bags for this, guys. Okay, same thing. I have my wet paper towel, and I wanna make sure that this stays, wet enough, needs to stay moist so I can add things to it. I'm going to put it in between. It's going to be sandwiched in between a damp paper towel. Now, again, for the storage of that, you're going to use Ziploc bags. I have 1 Ziploc bag for my excess clay. I'm keeping them separate. Plus, I also need to make sure that the other ones stay nice and flat. So this is going to be for my big tile, my 4-inch tile. Okay, storage. Wrapped, nice. I can layer these, and I will do so in a minute. So this is my 4-inch tile. I'm going to get started with my 3-inch tile. Now with this, I want to see if I can get a couple of them out of here. This one is a little bit thinner. Let me just move it up so you can better see. Okay, same with my 3-inch tile. I can go through right with that skewer. It's going to cut it. If you prefer to use, if you have a hobby knife, or something else at home like that you want to use, that's fine. And there we are. So right away, guys, I want to make sure that I have my edges are nice and neat. This one is a little bit thinner, and I will show you that in class as we work together. Same thing goes. I need to keep that wrapped up. So from school here, I'm just going to grab a piece of paper towel. These will dry out very quickly. So I have my container of water. Squeeze it out. Okay, so it's wet, but it's not dripping. I have scraps. Guess what, guys? I need to keep those scraps. Super important to keep these wrapped up because they will dry out really, really fast. Okay, now I have my 3rd one. For my letter that I put on there, I can either go a little bit smaller or I can go about the same size. I'm going to cut another one about the same size, to be honest with you. These are my scraps. I have my scrap bag. There's lots of water in here, and I can just add this. So again, keep your scraps, keep them wet. Otherwise you will run out of clay fast. And this does dry fast. So notice that as I'm working, I have all these materials right in front of me. Okay, so I have another, I'm gonna do another 3.5 one. All right, and then with this, I make sure I have all the clay residue off the side. Notice I'm working directly on my canvas. If I did not work on my canvas, this would stick right to the surface. It would actually suction right on there and you'd have to start all over again. Okay, so I have my next 3.5 inch one. That looks really nice. My scraps, I'm gonna put those scraps away first. Okay, I have enough room in this paper towel that I can add it to it. Now I can still ultimately use this again. I'll just have to re-wedge it together so we don't have any air bubbles. I had just wet this paper towel, so there is enough moisture in there. Now with this, if I have room for my paper towel, which I will, I can, and I'll show you. I can stack these, just I have to be super careful. And I want to make sure my edges stay really nice. Okay, guys, if you are not using this part of your clay right now, you know what you need to do. The next thing is you need to scrunch it all back together and wrap it up. So I know I have some here, and just for the sake of, I would do one at a time, but I'm going to be super careful on how I wrap these. So I need to make sure though, I know that this is my 3.5 inch tile only. I need the bigger one to start off with, and I need it to be a little thicker. You might recall, I'll go over that with you guys in class. And I believe I can get actually one more. Same thing, if I have a little bit of a clay crumb here, I need to make sure those clay crumbs come off. And here we go. So we are going to start to work with making slip and learning how to put these together. We'll talk about textures. Same thing goes, guys. Now this has been out for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. It is starting to dry a little bit. I can feel the difference from one clay to the other. So I do need to make sure, because it is so thin, that I do keep it nicely wrapped, okay? So there's my one. These two need to be wrapped again. So you're gonna go through some paper towels, dip it in the water. This is for good storage, okay? And nice and neat. Make sure you're careful with these. They're gonna be fragile. So I have my one wrapped in there, and I can stack this one on top. You can put them in a different Ziploc bag if you want to. Just keep in mind, I cut one big one, and I have several of the, I did 4 of the 3.5 by 3.5. So this will be for your main one. This will be your next one on top. If you want to go a little smaller for your letter, you can. I decided I'm going to cut it out of the 3.5 inch one. And we will talk about the next stuff soon. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good one.